Earlier, we were talking about what happens when you have a poor communicator at work. How do you deal with it? What are some tips for it? Well, what happens when you realize that you're the poor communicator? Hey, everyone, it's Emily, the Career Catalyst here. And today we're just going to talk about what that means and how to deal with it. So the reality is that we all have times when we suddenly realize that we're not doing as good a job with our communications as we could be. There are a lot of factors that play into this. You may have been having a really rough week at home. Perhaps you didn't speak well. Maybe you've been sick. Maybe there's someone in your office who really just triggers you, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. And I really want to emphasize that you shouldn't feel guilty or self-blaming when you have a moment like that. We all stumble. We all say things badly. We all say things we really shouldn't have said. And so when it happens, the best thing you can do is realize that it's happened, really just acknowledge it. Take a nice deep breath, get out of the office if you need to. You can walk around the block or something. And then apologize and move on. So if you've said something kind of dumb in a group setting and you realize it in the group setting, let's say there's a staff meeting, you say something dumb and then you think, oh, I really shouldn't have said that. Stop yourself as you think that. Say, wow, I don't know what that was. I'm really sorry. I shouldn't have said that. And then move on. If you said it to a particular person, then you'll just seek that person at some point and say pretty much the same thing. You don't want to dwell on it. You might do it a little bit in here, but you don't want to dwell on it in a public sort of way. You just want to apologize and move on. And here's the trick. The other thing you're really going to want to do is think about what made you do the thing. Say something rude, communicate really poorly, snap at someone, lash out, whatever it was. What went into that? What's behind it? Why did you do it? You're not doing this so you can blame yourself more. You're doing this so that you understand what kinds of things spark a reaction like that in you. Once you have an idea of what some of the possibilities are, just write them down somewhere so you can see them. And then you have this nice little list in front of you, someplace easily accessible so that you can guard against behavior like this in the future. There's stuff that drives all of us kind of crazy. There's people who we think are trying really hard to get under our skin. There are situations that really tick us off. And I don't want to imply that there aren't times that you should speak up. There are plenty of times that you should speak up. But sometimes it's really just about us. We have all been there. If that happens, if you find yourself really irritated by something, if you're just getting driven crazy by something, just figure out what it is and write down some ways that you can handle that better in the future. This is about being true to yourself. So don't feel like you're really super duper editing what you're saying. What you're trying to do is come up with a more effective way to say it. So if there's a person who makes casual assumptions about you in a work setting and it really ticks you off, and you've had a habit of really snapping at that person, come up with some strategies that you can use to deal with that person better, and write them down and maybe even practice them, because in the moment you'll be annoyed and your tendency is going to be to revert to your old strategy. But if you have a new one in place or some ideas about it, just jot them down. See if you can roll them out and begin practicing them. And I don't want you to feel bad about this. We all have these moments. I keep saying that because it keeps being true. So try not to judge yourself. Try not to be angry at yourself, but recognize when you have a moment like that and see what you can do moving forward in the future. If we all did a little piece of this, work and other situations like that would be much easier to deal with, because we would all be being self-reflective and catching our errors a little bit closer to the time we make them, and ideally correcting them. All right, well, I hope that's helpful. I hope you have a really fabulous rest of your week, and I will see you here soon.